get to the money. Gotta get to the money. Early morning, so you know that I'm on it. So you know that I'm on it. Gotta make sure that my family straight. Gotta make sure that the kids and me. Gotta make sure that the bills is paid. And then let's get to the money. Get to the money. Early morning, so you know that I'm on it. And gotta make sure that my family straight. Gotta make sure that the kids and they. Gotta make sure that the bills is paid. And then let's get to the money. Get to the money.
Welcome to another episode of Drinking After Dark, a podcast where we discuss random topics while having a few drinks. I'm your host, Darius, and as always, drink responsibly. And y'all make sure y'all follow Drinking After Dark podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and y'all make sure y'all like and subscribe to Drinking After Dark podcast YouTube channel. Tonight, I'm back on it. I'm drinking my Crown Royal Vanilla mixed with Dr. Pepper Cream Soda. And tonight's episode is sponsored by Joe Shakinab and Shakinab.com. Go visit Shakinab.com for services, monthly updates, and contact information. Once again, visit Shakinab.com, promoting leadership and scholarship. All right, so let's go and get into it, man. I hope everybody has had a great weekend. You know, it's a lot went on in my hometown. You know, we had these strong winds. No, it was some rain, but it was mainly strong winds. The power was out. I know my weekend pretty much was like destroyed. You know, power was out, but they got it on. You know, it was only out of power for a couple of days, which was cool and everything like that. But to go without power for a couple of days is like, it was crazy, and it was also cold too. That was the crazy thing about it. It was kind of cold. But we got the power back on. You know, it went out Friday, came back on Sunday. So, you know, it's been a strange week. Strange week. Speaking of weekends, let's go ahead and talk about it. There's two things I want to talk about tonight. The first one, obviously, if you haven't seen it, you definitely heard about it. If you've seen the clips, Chris Rock, his Netflix special, Selective Outrage. Like I said, it's on Netflix. Netflix did it live. I didn't watch it live. Like I said, the power was out. But once the power came back on, I ended up watching it. A lot of people had their opinions on it, so I'm going to go ahead and give you mine. I would say, first and foremost, the special was well organized. I would say it was well organized. You know, you can't really expect anything less from Chris Rock. You know, he's been in the game for decades. And, you know, when you do a special, he's done specials before, some better than others. You know, a production like this, it should be very, very well organized, which it was. So shout out to Chris Rock. Here's my thoughts on this special. Was this his best special? No, it wasn't his best special. It's kind of like movies, you know, when an actor has done a lot of movies, some movies are going to be better than others. This one, to me, I feel like this was more a comedy special, and it felt more like therapy to me. You know, if I had to say like what's my favorite Chris Rock special, I gotta go to Bigger and Blacker. That's my favorite Chris Rock special. But this one, we kind of knew. We kind of knew what we were expecting for him to talk about what happened a year ago at the Oscars, which he did. He held off to the very end, and that's the clip that pretty much went viral. Everything like that. And to me, you know, I would say this really felt therapeutic for him. You know, he didn't talk about it. He didn't talk about it on any talk show. He didn't talk about it after the incident happened. He waited until he did his special. He got paid. I think I think it was like around 20 million. He got paid for it. Uh, so of course he's gonna talk about it. He getting paid 20 million. But to me, I think I think this particular special was different from everything else because everything was really about jokes, right? This one was more about let me get this off my chest. That's the way I took it. He had some funny moments and stuff like that. People like, well, he's still doing the old jokes and all that. I was like, well, listen, we all know why we watch this. It's to hear about the slap. That's why everybody paid attention to it. You got people who have opinions about Chris Rock saying that he's not funny, this and that. Look, he might not be funny to you, but he might be funny to others. Was this his best special? Like I said, no, this wasn't his best. I felt like I said, I thought this was um, his therapy session. And I would say this, he really let out that last 10, 12 minutes of his special. He really let out. And you could tell he's been holding this in for a year. Really a year, because he didn't do any interviews. He didn't talk about it in the press or through his social media platforms. He waited for this moment to really speak out on it. And he finally let it loose. He finally let it loose. And even after that, you still haven't heard from him talking about this. So to me, from a standpoint of what I expected, I did not expect the whole special to be funny. I think what I expected was, okay, he's going to build up to that last part because that's why everybody was paying attention. I mean, listen, even if you're not a fan of Chris Rock, you still wanted to hear his side and you heard it. And then here's the thing about people need to understand. I saw some comments right on social media talking about why is Chris Rock keep bringing this up? Chris Rock has never brought this up until his special. He never played, and he said this on his special. He never played the victim role, which I thought about. I was like, you know what? He never did, because he never pressed charges on Will Smith. When LAPD asked him, "Do you want to press charges?" he said no. Right? He didn't go on other platforms or anything like that and talked about it. He didn't do it. He waited for a special. He expressed himself the way he knew how, and that was on that stage as a comedian. And you just got to accept it. That's how he's dealing with it. And the fact that he kind of dealt with it in private and he wait till he got paid to really talk about it, it was watching it, you could tell he was going to go in. Some people liked it. Some people loved it. Some people really didn't like it. And to me, I was like, okay, this is his frustration. This is his time to really get back at him. And whether you like Chris Rock or not, he made some points. I'm not going to put it out there because if you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. I don't want to spoil it. Like some people go on social media after they've seen the movie and they kind of like spoil it because they want to talk about it as soon as they've seen it. I just thought it was a well put together special. Yeah, he did some old jokes. I'm like kind of old, but we know we weren't there to hear those jokes. We were paying attention to hear about Oscars last year. And I find it kind of funny too because you could tell the hurt coming from Chris Rock because he admired Will Smith so much. Right? He admired Will Smith so much. And for that to happen, it's kind of like yeah, to me, kind of like brought him, made him feel smaller than what he really was. Um, well, what he really is, because that he's a small dude. You know, he's a small guy. But overall, oh, and the fact that he did it in Baltimore. If y'all don't know, that's Jada's hometown. He did it in Baltimore, and he really, to me personally, I think he went more after Jada than Will. You know, some of the jokes he made, like, did it hurt? Yeah, it hurt. He still got summertime ringing in his ears. That that was kind of funny. I ain't gonna lie, that was kind of funny. Um, but you could tell he was hurt by it. He never spoke to him. He probably spoke to his family in private about it, close friends about it, but he never really spoke to the public about it because it happened publicly. And you just saw everything just, and I think that part to me, even though he's a comedian, his job is to tell jokes. That's his livelihood. His livelihood is to tell jokes. At that particular moment, I felt like, yes, these are jokes, but this felt more like my anger. Finally, I'm finally releasing my anger. And not only that, but he could actually move on. I think this was his way of finding peace. And and I'm pretty sure Will and Jada expected this to happen. You can't be like, you can't like sit back and say, well, Chris Rock gonna do a special. He ain't gonna talk about this. Yeah, he is. You kind of expect that to happen. Um, I would definitely like to see, in my opinion, I would definitely like to see Will and Chris sit down together in person, uh, talk this thing out. It doesn't necessarily have to be done in the public eye. It could be done in private. I just want to see that. I just want to see these two guys uh at least get back on good terms. I mean, for me as a black man, I would definitely like to see that. Hopefully it will happen. If it don't, I mean, I'll be kind of disappointed, you know. But yeah, like I said before, man, this special, uh, to me, I wasn't looking for like gut wrenching laughs. I wasn't looking for that. I was like everybody else, waiting to hear about the whole Will Jada, you know, slap at the Oscars. That's what I was waiting on. And he finally spoke it. And here's the thing: some people, and I hate when people who are biased, because you already going in saying I'm not going to like it, regardless, right? It's instead of saying, okay, this man was physically assaulted on national TV in front of hundreds of millions of people. And over a joke, yeah, if we're gonna be honest about it, let's be honest. Will Smith did laugh at the joke. He laughed. Anybody who really paid attention, Will Smith really laughed at the joke. So to me, that kind of negates anything he done after that, right? That negates anything he done after that. But with that being said, it was a mistake. It was a heat in the moment. Um, I'm gonna be honest with you. Maybe Chris Rock did do Will Smith a favor, because if y'all know, leading up to that, he was going through a lot, and maybe he needed something to break that, to where he could start, in Jada's words, healing. So to me, the special was it was good. It wasn't great. Um, a lot of people love Chris Rock's response. A lot of critics out there who are writers and all of that didn't like it. My question is, you know, Are you saying you didn't like it because it wasn't his best, or you didn't like Chris Rock because of a joke he made at the Oscars? You know, you still holding him to that standard. Um, that's all I'm asking. Like, I need to know what's what. But like I said, early Chris Rock, when you think about the 90s and his specials in the 90s, even at like the early 2000s, it was better than what it is. And we all know that um, when you do so many specials, all of them are not going to hit the way that you want them to hit, right? And two, people going to compare like what you did in the past to right now over your career. That's how it is. So I just think that he finally got it off his chest. I feel like, he could basically now move on from it, because he never moved on from it because he never talked about it, not in public. And, that's what the public want. Like, all right, we want to hear your side. He finally talked about it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But he finally got it off his chest. You can't tell people how to deal with things, how to grieve. They do things their own way. So I just feel like he did it his way. He did it on the stage. Now he can move on from it. Um, you know, yeah, he made jokes, basically made jokes about the entire family, but he really went in, with Will and Jada, which, like I said, it's not a surprise to anybody. This is what you expected, his response. And it really wasn't the jokes, but he was going in. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. He was really going in on those two, and now I think he has officially closed the chapter in that part of his life. He can move on. We could really just stop talking about it at this point and let the man, continue on with his career. Will Smith, let him continue on with his career, and you never know. You never know. Um, it could be this year. It could be next year. These two will be in the same room, sitting next to each other, drinking coffee or whatever, laughing and joking, and that's that. You know, you never know. So let's just let's just hope they both could find closure. I know Will Smith apologized a couple times. Um, couldn't really get reach out to him either by phone or face to face, whatever. But at some point, I think these two will have to sit down. I think Chris Rock got it out of his system. I think Will Smith, he's going through his thing. I think they could finally come together, sit down, even if it's in private, close, really just get back to being cool. That's the only thing I just hope it could happen, for these two to come back, be cool with one another. It happened, so be it. People, if you want to continue to make jokes about it, cool. I mean, Chris Rock may even make jokes about it, so it was a good special, but like I said, it wasn't great. Um, that was pretty much about that was pretty much it, and yeah, I'm just waiting to see what's next. Just waiting to see what's next and leave it at that. So, all right. So before I continue on, just a reminder, man, y'all make sure y'all follow Drinking After Dark podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Um, make sure y'all subscribe to Drinking After Dark podcast YouTube channel. And every new episodes drop every Friday, so stay on the lookout for that. And also, too, I have a new content coming out. While I'm reviewing different drinks and things like that. So y'all check that out. Those will be uploaded every Wednesday. So y'all check that out, man. Y'all please support the platform, man, while continuing to grow and build on this. All right. So let's move on to the next topic. We gotta go back to the NBA. Last week I talked about Ja Morant, and after that, more news came out. He was initially suspended for 2 games, but now he's out indefinitely for at least the next 4. Um, if y'all don't know what happened, he was at a club in Colorado. He was on his IG live. He flashed a gun, and basically everything just went downhill from there for Ja Morant. He was suspended for 2 games, but the team said he was going to be out indefinitely. My thoughts is that sometimes you got to have the right people in your corner, especially if you're going to um, get all this money, you got all this fame, you're you might potentially could be the face of the league, right? Potentially, we know LeBron technically still is. As long as he's in the league, he's going to be the face. You got Steph Curry, you got uh, Giannis, you have Jokic, you have Luka now. But I would say that a young superstar, to me, Ja Morant is a superstar, right? Whose team is growing, whose team is continuing to grow. They're one of the better teams. They haven't been playing like one of the best teams lately, I would say. But you have a chance to do something great, especially for the city of Memphis. I'm from Tennessee. I'm from Tennessee, and I just think that they could possibly bring an NBA championship to not only Memphis but to the state of Tennessee. So, but as when you have all of that, you got to move differently. And sometimes, the people that you're around, they can have an influence on you. Now, if the people you're around are giving you advice and saying, no, you shouldn't do this, no, you shouldn't do that, stop acting like this, you need to move this way, and you're not listening, then everything is on you, right? But I think somebody has to start holding him accountable. Now, what came out was, I think right before that incident, Steven Adams, who's not even 30, I think he's 29, held a players only meeting basically saying how to conduct ourselves, not only on the court, but off the court. And the ironic thing was, the irony of it all was that Ja Morant still went to basically a strip club, went on his IG live, flashed a gun, and basically he got caught. Now, for a lot of people who don't understand how this works, any professional sports team that's out there, any like league, they have these morality clauses, code of conduct policies that's in place for a reason, So I just think that for him to do that, I'm not going to say it was a mistake. He intentionally did that. Nobody had their phone out on their own Instagram, went live. He had this gun. No, he purposely did that. And it's kind of like, why are you doing this? You have right now, you got to think about it. You have a chance to set up your family for generations. You got at least 200 million coming your way from the NBA, plus your endorsement deals. And a lot of people are looking at that like, hey, we don't want you to ruin, we don't want you to ruin your future pretty much, right? Because you don't want to go around and have this label on your back, right? You're a great talent, but people are like, well, do we want to deal with this outside trouble? Right? So I think for him being away from the game, and of course he deleted his social media, him being away from the game, excuse me, I think it's good for him because now he can start seeing the error of his ways and start reevaluating um, things around him. You know, things around the people around him, right? And I know I've seen a couple of sports talk shows where they were talking about, trying to plead with his dad, T. Morant, about, hey, at some point you got to be a father, right? You're out here, you living the NBA life, and you're acting like you one of his homeboys. Like you're at every game, sitting front row, trying to, you talking with the celebrities and all of that stuff. It's kind of like, why? That was their thing. Why? And I remember, I don't know if you guys remember this, how it wasn't long ago, it was a few years ago, how LeVar Ball was basically in the spotlight, right? Alonzo, we all know, All-American out of high school, went to UCLA. I think he was like a top 2 pick, NBA draft to the Lakers. One thing about LeVar, we look at the antics, right? He got his boys to play. Now, one of them made a mistake in China. I'm pretty sure LeVar dealt with that. But one thing you couldn't say about LeVar Ball is that he's going to be his kid's biggest fan. He's going to be the biggest critic. And not only that, but he's going to be the father first and foremost. That's the thing about LeVar Ball. I don't think people understand. He is dad first. Yes, he got them to the league. Yes, he built them up. They're talented. They're talented players. There's no denying that. But we also seen him be a father. Like we seen it on camera. Like that wasn't no show. You could tell how the boys, respond to their dad. When they mess up, oh, he's in their face. So, and the thing about it is, you start seeing LeVar in the beginning. You saw a lot of him when Lonzo was in the league, but now you start seeing him like more. You don't see him like that. When you see T. Morant, you see him at all the games, right? And it's kind of like, I don't want to really say it, but I'm gonna say it's kind of like you kind of living this dream through your kid, right? And I understand as a parent, you want to see your boy successful. You kind of like, yeah, I did this, I did this, I did, as a parent should do. It's one thing to support your kid at home games, but it seems like you're at every game, living that lifestyle, doing this and doing that. You should know at 23, Ja needs parents. He needs the right people in place that's going to keep him in check. And this was a pattern. I think that's why you saw the Grizzlies step in, the NBA was investigated. Oh, he was investigated by Colorado police, but they also dropped the charges. So it was a good thing they dropped the charges. But I just think that at 23, when you're building an empire, right? You're getting this money, you're the face of a franchise. That's one, you're a face of a franchise. You're one of the top young players in the league. Many people consider you a superstar. One of the most pound for pound, one of the most athletic guards to ever play this game. Right. When I think about Ja Morant from a skill standpoint, the first person that comes to my mind is Derrick Rose. That's what I think about when I see him play. And I was a huge fan of Derrick Rose, right? But one thing about Derrick Rose was a quiet person, right? Very quiet, not as vocal, but you could tell his game. his game was something else, right? And he also, you gotta remember, I think he was like the youngest MVP NBA history. Like he was the best point guard in the league. Those Bulls teams against the Miami Heat. Come on, man. Come on, man. It doesn't get any better than that. And we've seen some great playoffs with some teams and everything like that. But that's who Ja Morant reminded me of from a player standpoint, Derrick Rose. Now, obviously, a better shooter. He became a better shooter than Derrick Rose. But in terms of the demeanor and everything, Derrick Rose was a quiet guy. Ja Morant does a lot of talking, right? He does a lot of talking. The Grizzlies, you could tell. And I think Jamal Crawford said this on the show once. This is why you need to have veterans on your team. When you hear like a lot of the old school players, right? When they came into the league, it was grown men in the league, right? You had guys who were able to pull the young guys in, basically, show them how to move, things like that. I think that's why a lot of young players get in trouble because they don't have veterans on their squad. I always believe that you should at least have 2 to 3 veterans. And my thing is too, if the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th man is not going to play, why not just give that role to the veterans on that squad? That's the way I see it. Just giving them, for the veterans to keep these players in line. And I just think that, Ja Morant, this time off would actually help him, to see and actually evaluate what's going on, with his personal life. His play on the court, we know, top tier, but it's off the court. And it's been building up over the last year. So I just think that he's going to come back more mature, not all the way there, because, growth is a process. Growth is a process. And I think he's going to have to make a decision when it comes to certain people in his life, on, okay, what value do you bring to me? Or do you really have my back? Are you going to tell me what I need to hear instead of what I want to hear? Stuff like that. Like he has to really evaluate situations. Because, one common thing was you going from this to basically being a breadwinner, right? So you're pretty much the head of the household. Basically, you're the head of the household and everybody's going to eat off of you. Yeah, I think that that's a lot of pressure for a 23-year-old. It's one thing you're 23 and you're not the face of a franchise. You're not one of the young faces of the league as a whole. But Ja Morant has to carry that responsibility. And we don't know maybe this is how he's dealing with things, but at some point you're going to look up, right? You're not 23 anymore. You're 30. The time goes by fast. It goes quick. So what are you doing that's going to start right now to say, okay, this is not only going to affect me, but now I have to think about my teammates, how it's going to affect them, how it's going to affect our team moving forward. What is the common goal here? Is it championships or is just us just doing all this talking and nonstop or whatever? It starts with the head of the snake. Ja Morant is the head of the snake. The moment he gets serious, I believe the Memphis Grizzlies will eventually bring a championship home to Memphis. That's just my opinion. I think he will bring that championship home to Memphis, without any of the distractions, without really, I would say, talking so much. He just going out there like, I'm going to play, right? Forget all the trash talking, all this stuff. Yeah, we were young, dumb. Right now, no, we're about business. And I think that's where it comes from. It starts with the head coach. and it goes down to your best player in the trip. You ever realize like the way a team moves is based on who the best player is, how the other teammates, and it's more. You really got to have about 2 or 3 leaders on the team, right? When you look at Golden State, you got Steph, Clay, and Draymond. Clearly, they're the 3 leaders of the team, right? And everybody, they follow them by example. They lead by example, right? When you think about, I'm gonna go back to like the '80s when I think about Isaiah Thomas and the Bad Boy Pistons, right? Yeah, you saw what they did on the court. Okay. But the way they carried themselves, you didn't hear about anything off the court with the Pistons. The way they carried themselves let you know they're a championship team. That's how a championship team move differently, right? You could tell who are champions, who are not there. Some people play for stats, some people play for championships. And I just think that once Memphis moved differently on how they play, and sometimes you gotta hold your own players accountable. Stop doing some dirty shit. That's why I got y'all know what I'm talking about. But the one when they start moving differently, that affects everything. And I think that's gonna bring them a championship. It's okay to have some attitude, but the attitude shouldn't run, everything. That should be like a cherry on top in a sense, right? That's that competitive fire that's in you. But like I said, even though people like want to go to Josh's age, the thing about it is that's still a man by the end of the day, and he's carrying a lot of weight at 23. He's carrying a lot of weight at 23, and sometimes he just needs people in his corner that's going to let him know everything's going to be okay. In terms of not somebody looking for him to provide for them, but somebody to say, hey, this is not a good look. Stop doing this. Somebody just to, be real with him, No, yes, man. None of that. So I just think that Ja's going to come back better. I'm not going to say it's going to be instant because, we all know growth, like I said, is a process. But I think it starts now. And we'll wait, Like I said, this could be his wake-up call. And we'll see what happens. So, because I would definitely like to see, the Grizzlies. One year they were, if y'all know, one year they were in the Western Conference Finals. That's when Mike Conley and Zach Randolph, Marc Gasol, Tony Allen, them boys was there. Lionel Hollins was their coach, and still fired the coach after that. That's crazy. The best regular season, best season in franchise history. He got fired. Ain't that something? But I'll definitely like to see this team in the NBA Finals one day. I think that would be must-see TV. Personally, must-see TV. All right. We're coming to the end of the episode. I'm glad you guys tuned in with me. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, man. Y'all please support the podcast. Also, like I said, I got new content coming, my reviews, different drinks that I'm trying out. Trying new things in 2023. So y'all be on the lookout for that every Wednesday. If again, follow Drinking After Dark Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Like and subscribe to Drinking After Dark Podcast YouTube channel. If you guys have any suggestions what I should try for my episodes or even for my reviews, please comment below, and I'll try it out, and I'll give my honest opinion about things. So just hit me up, comment below, man. And I'll see what I could try, and maybe I like it, maybe I won't. You never know. Um, but yeah, man, if y'all haven't seen the Chris Rock special, man, go watch it, form your own opinion. Don't go by what everybody else is saying. You can form your own opinion. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And I hope Ja Morant comes back better than ever. You know, he's a young superstar, and he's the type of guy we need in the league. So that's just my opinion. Until next time, everybody, this is your boy Darius from Drinking After Dark Podcast, and we out. Peace.
Gotta get to the money. Gotta get to the money. Early morning, so you know that I'm on it. So you know that I'm on it. Gotta make sure that my family straight. Gotta make sure that the kids in there. Gotta make sure that the bills is paid. And then let's get to the money. Get to the money. Early morning, so you know that I'm on it. Gotta make sure that my family straight. Gotta make sure that the kids in there. Gotta make sure that the bills is paid. And then let's get to the money. Get to the money.